co-sponsored by 298 of our colleagues. Mr. Speaker, with that, I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves his time. The gentleman from California is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I owe myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I want to recognize the gentleman from Missouri, Mr. Lukemeyer, for his efforts on this meaningful legislation. I rise today in support of H.R. 2453, the Mark Twain Commemorative Coin Act. This legislation calls for the U.S. Mint to produce a coin in 2016, I state in 2016, designed to honor Mark Twain's contribution to Americans' history. William Faulkner once called Mark Twain the father of American literature, one of America's most beloved authors. Mark Twain's life legacy have left a lasting mark on our nation. Mark Twain, whose real name is Samuel Clement, was beloved by many of his wits and sharp studies. Twain worked as a steamboat pilot and reported before finding success as a writer. His hometown of Hannibal, Missouri, later became the setting for his most famous novel, The Adventure of Tom Sawyer and the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, which all of us have seen throughout our life as a young kid. And we love still seeing it every time we see this. Twain's other well-known work of fiction include The Prince and the Pauper and The Connecticut Yankees in King Arthur's Court. H.R. 2453 directs the U.S. Mint to produce a $1 and a $5 commemorative coin in 2016, and I state, at no cost to the taxpayers. At no cost to the taxpayers. The simple price of the coin will cover the cost of production. In addition, the sale of the coin will generate revenue for the benefit of 4 of Mark Twain's institutions: the Mark Twain House and Museum in Hartford, Connecticut, the Bamford Library at the University of California, Berkeley, and Elmira College in New York, and the Mark Twain Boyhood Home in the Museum in Hannibal, Missouri. I urge my colleagues to support this responsible legislation, the recognition of one of America's greatest authors and humorists, Mark Twain. I reserve the balance of my time at this point.
The gentleman reserves the balance of his time. The gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I don't have any further speakers at this time, so I will continue to reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from California.
Yes, I'd like to call on the gentleman from Connecticut, John Larson, one of our leaders, to give him the balance of my time.
The gentleman from Connecticut is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And, thank you, Mr. Baca from California. And thank the Hartford to Hannibal connection. I want to thank Representative Lukemeyer for your tireless work and effort in making this bill possible for the great institutions that both you and Representative Baca have illuminated. To stand here today and talk about the literary genius of Mark Twain, and to see the institutions that will benefit from this, and as Representative Baca points out, at no cost to the American public, but enriching Americans all across this great nation, I dare say around the globe, from the visits that these great institutions, whether they be in Hartford, whether it be in Hannibal, whether it be in Elmira, or at Berkeley in California, all of who will benefit directly from Mark Twain. I'm glad that we're having a voice vote, because I wouldn't want to put what Mark Twain had to say about members of Congress to a test here on the floor. But as my good friend and colleague Joe Baca has pointed out, the great works of Mark Twain stand throughout the ages. Of course, there's nary a person who hasn't read Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer. And as mentioned, a Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. Well, we like to refer to it as a Connecticut Red Sox in King Arthur's Court. But nonetheless, I would be remiss if I didn't thank Jeffrey Nichols, the executive director at the Mark Twain House in Hartford, Connecticut, and the entire board there, who has worked tirelessly to make sure that we are able to perpetuate the great legacy of Mark Twain in his literature, in his humor, and his satire. It's a gift for the country that everyone should have the opportunity to enjoy. Just this last year, In the house adjoining the Twain House in Hartford is the home of Harriet Beecher Stowe, and we had the members of the Congressional Black Caucus who came to Hartford to participate in a discussion about race. And of course, even today, as both Mark Twain and the whole issue of Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer continued to come under literary discussion and debate, it also focuses on an important issue that the nation needs to continue to face, and that's the whole issue of humanity as it relates to how man deals with man and the whole issue of racism. And there was no stronger proponent in this nation than Samuel Clemens. Mark Twain was just incredible in terms of his gift, his literary genius, a great ambassador abroad for this country, and heralded on this shore and all across the globe as a humanitarian. And so we're so proud, and I again want to thank Representative Luetkemeyer for his efforts to make this possible. I know that in Hartford and in Hannibal, Elmira, and Berkeley, people are very pleased that this will continue to benefit them and allow this great treasure and this great person of literature, American literature, to continue to enjoy the vast reputation and legacy that all Americans ought to enjoy. Thank you so much, and I yield back.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
I have no further speakers, but I'll continue to reserve.
I have no further speaker and yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman from California yields back the balance of his time. The gentleman from Missouri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just want to close with a few closing thoughts here. Again, to thank the gentleman from Connecticut for his hard work in helping to put this together, as well as the gentleman from California, Mr. Baca, for his help today. You know, it's interesting. When I was the director of tourism in the state of Missouri, we found out just how big an icon Mr. Twain was. Mark Twain not only is an icon who's recognized around the United States, but he's one of the few icons that people from other countries recognize about our country. And if you travel to Hannibal, Missouri, you can see the influence in the surroundings there and the stories that he told and what kind of an influence it had on him as a youth, and the stories as they unfolded. It's quite something. So again, with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back the balance of my time. However, I would like to ask that an exchange of letters between the Committee on Financial Services and the Committee on Ways and Means regarding this bill be included in the congressional record. Without objection, so ordered. With that, I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back his time. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass H.R. 2453 as amended? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. In the opinion of the Chair, two-thirds being in the affirmative, the rules are suspended. The bill is passed, and the motion, without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
On that, I ask for the yeas and nays.
Yeas and nays are requested. All those in favor of taking this vote by the yeas and nays will rise and remain standing until counted. A sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Pursuant to Clause 8 of Rule 20, further proceedings on this question will be postponed. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the Chair declares the House in recess until approximately